Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we now have a presentation, harness the advantages of AIoT solutions to make your store operations efficient, comfortable, and intelligent. And to make this presentation, we have Haps Dillon, General Manager and Business Unit Head, EcoEnergy Insights Limited. I repeat, the presentation will put the focus on harness the advantages of AIoT solutions to make your store operations efficient, comfortable, and intelligent. And we have to make this presentation Mr. Haps Dillon, General Manager and Business Unit Head, EcoEnergy Insights Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Haps Dillon, and may I request all of you to please allow our speakers to move out before you exchange visiting cards. May I request you to kindly show some courtesy to the next speaker and allow our speakers to move out before you network with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody in the hall. Over the next 5 to 7 minutes, I'll try to give you a glimpse of what Carrier EcoEnergy has been doing for retail spaces with the primary objective of making them more efficient. And as the general theme has been, to enable them to deliver the consumer experience for which they are set out. So I've broken my session into 3 parts. Part 1 is where I talk about what we bring as capabilities to the table. A couple of case studies which I'm sure you will be able to resonate of how these technologies have been effectively utilized to create a differentiation in terms of those brands and how they have been able to drive the store experience for their customers. And lastly, I believe some thoughts on what our experience has been globally on what retailers need to do to really embark on this path of adopting IoT for their stores. Because we've seen more misses than hits in this space, where a few missteps really puts the whole initiative, a couple of years back. So if you look at from a larger retail, sector perspective, whichever enterprises are looking at physical stores, they're dealing with certain common challenges around these physical stores. One, of course, being that there's a regulatory push to make the whole network more sustainable, because each store has a carbon footprint, and if you have more stores, you mean you are having a much higher carbon footprint. You also have more extreme weather situations these days. Mumbai, for example, in the last couple of months have been a couple of degrees higher than last year, which means, is your equipment, air conditioning, refrigeration set out in the stores really going to do the job for you? And at what cost? We're also seeing that shift in online as well as, physical store. There's a lot of, good news that consumers are coming back. But we've also seen that some stores, the footfalls have been much lower than for what they have been designed, especially, for example, in restaurants. They used to have large front of the houses, which really have shrunk now because it seems like delivery is contributing 60% of the total orders. From a cost perspective, your operational cost has energy as a big line item. So it's typically the number 3 or the number 4 cost, and you can't just let it remain unmanaged. You need to find a way of controlling it. Your equipment is aging, which means that at some point of time, whatever equipment you put in the store needs a replacement. What time you should do it, especially when that CapEx has a competing need in terms of opening new stores. So these have been some of the challenges that we've been working on, and over the last 10 years, we worked with retailers in India and in some of the mature markets like Europe and US, where we brought 4 very distinct capabilities to the retail sector. Number 1 being our ability to pick up data from the stores. So we do realize that there are stores which are 1,000 square feet, and there are hypermarkets which may be even 100,000 square feet. To be able to pick up data from such a diverse set of stores, you need a technology which is flexible, modular, does the job under various equipment makes, model. So that's one part of the technology we brought in on the table. We developed an AI platform which harnesses this data from these stores, provides very precise and actionable intelligence to the store managers, to maintenance, to projects, to really take actions which enable them to run their stores efficiently. We do custom analytics for the customers to design better stores for them, to provide recommendations on what could be the next equipment upgrade look like for them, which technology, what ratings, etc. And we also have command centers in in 3 locations worldwide, in Bangalore in India, Prague in Europe, and Atlanta in US, where we also provide the last mile support for our retail customers to make some of these interventions happen at the store level. So we not just recommend, we also make them happen at a store level. And the results are there, on the table. In the last 10 years, we have saved around 5 billion units of energy for retailers, which is roughly around 5,000 crores of energy being taken out of the system. And this is a number that is growing year on year, because as we get more customers, more retail sites on board, this number is becoming really significant. I move to the next one. Now, how does this all happen? This is just sort of a bird's eye view of how various pieces fall together. So you have your stores, they get connected to the central platform. The platform is where all the heavy lifting happens, and the intelligence goes back to the store, and the store managers to act on it. As a parallel thread, a feed of that intelligence also goes to the command centers, and they also pick on how do you, for example, schedule a maintenance activity on your refrigeration equipment or on your air conditioning equipment ahead of an alarm. The whole deal here is that if a complaint has come from a store, or if there is an instance of an equipment broken down, you've already lost the battle. You're fighting against perhaps at a much larger cost. So the whole engine tries to preempt any alarm in the store and pick up early indicators of equipment degradation and solve them through a proactive approach. If you look at the kind of retailers we have worked at, they have a large and differentiating need. So right from quick serve restaurants, which are perhaps having the highest energy per square feet because of their intense cooking operations and their long operating hours, to pet retailers who have a very different set of requirements, considering that they have actually, even when the store is not operating for customers, have animals in the store. We have sensitive merchandise in the store which is prone to environmental conditions. We have footwear retailers. We work with Puma in India, for example, across all their corporate stores. We also starting to work with the banking sector, because they also are having a similar sort of challenge that their branches are supposed to give customer an experience, but with the diversity of size of the branches, air conditioned, non-air conditioned, they're also facing a similar challenge of having a consistent experience. In India, for example, we have at least one retail store in more than 600 cities. So some cities obviously have much more stores, but we've been here in the market for a long time and working with all the leading retailers in India. Just to give you a sense of how this program works out for a typical customer, this is one of the largest pizza chains in India. It's anybody's guess, but we're not allowed to name them for obvious reasons. We've been working with them for all their stores. We look at each part of the equipment, right down to their bike charging stations, that every time their bike is ready for charging, has it been charged adequately to be able to deliver their product to the consumer at the promised time. We look at their product quality through refrigeration, through their cooking equipment, and the whole idea is maintain their costs at the lowest possible level. At the same time, don't let the product quality get damaged. This is a large retailer from US. It's a home improvement retailer. Almost anything that you need to, make over your home, you can find there, from paints to, any kind of hardware. We've been working with them, again, for more than 10 years. And the program essentially looks at reducing their operating cost. And US, for example, sending a technician to a store is very expensive. It costs at least $300 to $400. So if you can be sure that the need of a technician at a store is unavoidable, the dispatch should happen only. So the command center that we have in place really tries to diagnose and sometimes even resolve the challenge remotely by tweaking the equipment, by rebooting the equipment. And only when it's absolutely necessary that I have to go and change a compressor, that's when we send the technician down to the store. And they have saved millions of dollars. The energy saving itself have been more than 15% for them. This is closer home, and I can name them because they've authorized us. This is Puma India for you. All their corporate stores have this system that we talk about. And one of their key aspects of this program is the indoor air quality of the store. They want to make sure that the outside air is not going to affect what's inside the store. So we put sensors inside the store that gives a warning every time the CO2 levels or the PM levels in the store are breaching a certain threshold, and we get into activating their ventilation systems, putting air purifiers, etc. Again, the savings also has been a major contributor to their stores overall P&L, 15% onwards. Now, the last part of my presentation is that, as I told you, like in India, we work with all the retailers, but there has been a learning curve here in the last 10 years that people have taken steps in that, okay, let's go ahead and do this program, realizing after 6 months it didn't work for us. And some of the reasons are sort of obvious for us, which I'm trying to sort of put on the table. So number one, objective setting cannot be sort of discounted here. We have seen people walking into IoT and data with a sort of a leap of faith attitude, not really spending time that, hey, what am I going to try and get out of that? Am I going after energy savings? Am I going about availability, comfort? Because all of these are trade-offs. You want to make your store exceptionally comfortable, your energy cost is going to go up. There is a balance to it. So people have gone with, delightful experience, have ended up seeing that their energy costs have gone up. And people who have gone strictly for energy savings have suddenly realized that their stores are no more comfortable. The average temperature is 28 degrees, 29 degrees, even your main business hours. So setting objectives, being clear across the various functions in the organization is, I think, the most important aspect here. Secondly is exploring solutions. So there are a lot of options in terms of what technology you want to put in the store, how much of technology you want to put in the store. So I think there needs to be also a little bit of a thought on what technology choices you're making, which will last the store life, because store will be there 5 to 7 years, your equipment is going to be there some more than 10 years. What technology is it that you're going to really put in those stores? And another aspect is, like you're going to automate means you're going to get a lot of data in return, which is good news, but a lot of times it becomes heavy lifting for the organization, especially our traditional maintenance, our projects team, our facility management team is not really trained to look at data. They are all engineers looking at, there's a problem, I have to fix it. Suddenly they'll have to look at data and say, oh, data is saying there's a problem and therefore I have to trust data more than my engineering instincts. So building that culture on data itself is a challenge for a lot of organizations, and they need to find people who can embrace data and through that, try to solve problem for the organization. Also, for retailers with a larger, perhaps pan-India footprint, it can't be, implement technology and forget about it. Because as the stores change, because we have seen, for example, in restaurants, you suddenly introduce a breakfast menu, and the whole store profile changes. Or you decide to deliver during night hours, which was traditionally your non-business hours, suddenly the profile is going to change. So unless you're keeping an eye on how your store is changing versus how your equipment is supporting it, you're going to sooner or later realize that there's a mismatch, and again that whole disenchantment in terms of technology not doing the job for you is likely to emerge. And last but not least, everybody needs to move forward, but should be moving forward on a measured pitch, like maybe pick up a set of stores which represent your network, implement the system, see does it really tick the boxes for you, learn from that 3 to 4 month of pilot. It's not just about technology, it's also about your organization being able to drive the program, and then perhaps based on that you can roll out a network-wide program if it is giving you all the benefits that you anticipate. So that's it from my side.